In a windowless building somewhere in the Middle East, a 20-year-old soldier stares at lines of code on her screen. She doesn't carry a gun. She's never been trained in hand-to-hand combat. But right now, she's more dangerous than an entire army. With a few keystrokes, she can shut down a power grid thousands of miles away. She can listen to phone calls between world leaders. She can track anyone, anywhere, anytime. And tomorrow morning, when she takes off her uniform and goes to college, none of her classmates will have any idea who she really is. This is Unit 8200, Israel's secret cyber army. They've stopped wars before they started. They've brought down nuclear programs without firing a single shot. And they're watching everything you do online right now. But here's what should really scare you. They're not the only ones. The birth of digital warfare. Let me take you back to 1952. Israel is barely 4 years old, surrounded by enemies and desperately trying to survive. In a small apartment in Tel Aviv, a group of mathematicians and radio operators gather around equipment stolen from British forces. This is the birth of Unit 8200, though it wouldn't get that name for decades. Back then they were just kids with radios trying to intercept enemy communications. Today they're arguably the most powerful intelligence unit on the planet. How did this happen? And why have you never heard of them? The answer starts with a simple fact. Israel can't afford to lose a single war. When you're a country the size of New Jersey, surrounded by nations that want you gone, you need to know what your enemies are planning before they know it themselves. You need to be inside their heads, inside their computers, inside their most secret conversations. The Harvard of cyber warfare. Here's something that will blow your mind. Unit 8200 doesn't recruit the way normal spy agencies do. They don't wait for college graduates. They don't look for muscle or physical strength. Instead, they hunt for teenagers, specifically the smartest teenagers in the country. Picture this. You're 16 years old, sitting in math class, when suddenly you get a mysterious letter. It invites you to take a series of tests. You don't know who sent it. You don't know what it's for. But if you pass these tests, which most people fail, you disappear from normal life for 3 years. Your friends think you're doing regular military service. Your parents can't talk about where you really are. But in reality, you're being trained in skills that don't officially exist. You're learning to break into systems that are supposed to be unbreakable. You're being taught to think like the enemy, to find weaknesses where others see walls. The teenage hackers who changed history. Let me tell you about Stuxnet, the most famous cyber weapon ever created, though most people still don't understand what really happened. It's 2010. Iran is racing to build nuclear weapons. The world is watching nervously. Military options are on the table. War seems inevitable. Then, something strange happens. Iran's nuclear centrifuges, the machines that enrich uranium, start breaking. Not just a few, thousands of them. They spin too fast, then too slow, then tear themselves apart. Iranian scientists are going crazy. Everything looks normal on their computer screens. The software says the machines are working perfectly. But in reality, they're destroying themselves from the inside. This was Stuxnet, and while America usually gets the credit, insiders know that Unit 8200's fingerprints were all over it. These weren't seasoned spies who pulled this off. Many of them were 21, 22 years old. Kids who grew up playing video games were now playing the ultimate game, and the stakes were preventing World War III. How they see everything now. Let's talk about how Unit 8200 actually works. Because this is where things get really scary. Imagine you're a terrorist planning an attack. You're careful, you don't use phones, you communicate through encrypted apps. You meet in person. You think you're invisible. But here's what you don't know. Unit 8200 has been watching you for months, maybe years. How? They don't just hack computers, they hack humans. They know that your cousin works at a phone company. They know your neighbor uses the same password for everything. They know your daughter posts on social media. Every person you've ever met becomes a potential door into your life. And Unit 8200 has become the master of finding these doors. Here's a real example that will make you paranoid about your phone. In 2007, Israeli forces needed to destroy a nuclear reactor in Syria. But they couldn't just bomb it. They needed to make sure Syrian air defenses would be blind when the jets came. So Unit 8200 did something incredible. They hacked into Syria's air defense network and made it show empty skies while Israeli jets were actually flying overhead. The Syrian military was literally looking at their radar screens, seeing nothing, while bombs were falling on their nuclear facility. They didn't know they'd been hacked until the building was already rubble. The algorithm wars. But here's where Unit 8200 becomes truly terrifying. And it's happening right now as you watch this video. They've moved beyond traditional spying. They're not just collecting information anymore, they're predicting the future. Using artificial intelligence that makes ChatGPT look like a calculator, Unit 8200 runs millions of simulations every day. They feed in social media posts, satellite images, financial transactions, weather patterns, even the tone of voice in phone calls. The AI looks for patterns humans would never notice. 3 weeks before someone becomes radicalized, the algorithm knows. A government official about to betray their country? The algorithm sees it coming. A company about to develop dangerous technology? Unit 8200 is already inside their servers. They call it predictive intelligence. But really, it's like having a crystal ball powered by code. The secret Silicon Valley. Here's something that will shock you. That app on your phone? That website you use every day? There's a good chance it was created by Unit 8200 veterans. When soldiers finish their service in Unit 8200, usually around age 21 or 22, they leave with skills that Silicon Valley would kill for. They know how to break into any system. They know how to build unhackable code. They know secrets about technology that won't be public for another decade. So what do? They create startups, lots of them. Waze, the navigation app that knows traffic patterns before they happen, created by 8,200 veterans. Checkpoint, Palo Alto Networks, CyberArk, cybersecurity companies worth billions, all founded by Unit 8200 alumni. These companies now protect everyone from Amazon to the Pentagon. But think about what this really means. The people who learn to spy on the world are now building the technology the world uses every day. The hackers have become the architects of our digital lives, and we invited them in. The day they stopped a war. Let me tell you about October 2019, a story that never made the headlines, but could have changed everything. Intelligence agencies around the world picked up chatter. Something big was being planned. Multiple terrorist groups were coordinating for the first time in years. The target, unknown. The date, getting closer. Unit 8200 went into overdrive. They deployed every tool, every algorithm, every human asset they had. For 72 hours straight, shifts of teenage soldiers worked around the clock, following digital breadcrumbs across the dark web. Finally, they found it. The target wasn't a building or a city. It was bigger. The terrorists were planning to hack into water treatment facilities across 3 countries simultaneously. Millions of people would have been poisoned. The death toll would have been catastrophic. Wars would have started. chaos would have spread. Unit 8200 didn't just stop the attack. They turned it around. They hacked the hackers, destroyed their network from the inside, and made it look like the terrorists had betrayed each other. The groups turned on themselves. The plot collapsed, and the world never knew how close it came to disaster. When soldiers become whistleblowers. But here's where the story takes a dark turn, because with all this power comes a terrible price. In 2014, something unprecedented happened. 43 members of Unit 8200, soldiers and veterans, signed a public letter refusing to serve. They didn't defect to the enemy. They didn't sell secrets. They simply said, "We can't do this anymore." Why? Because they'd seen too much. These soldiers revealed that Unit 8200 doesn't just spy on terrorists and enemy states. They spy on everyone. Palestinians going to work, activists planning peaceful protests, even people whose only crime was knowing someone suspicious. One whistleblower described listening to a phone call between a Palestinian man and his lover, both cheating on their spouses. This information wasn't about security. It was about control, blackmail, power. "Turn informant," they'd tell the man, "or we'll tell your wife about the affair." This is the dark side of total surveillance. When you can see everything, hear everything, know everything, where do you draw the line? The Chinese mirror. But if you think Unit 8200 is scary, let me introduce you to their biggest rival, China's Ministry of State Security, or MSS. While Unit 8200 has maybe 5,000 soldiers, the MSS has over 100,000 agents. While Israel focuses on quality, China goes for quantity. And they're not just stealing military secrets anymore. Here's what the MSS is doing right now. They're inside almost every major university in the world, not with spies, with students. Thousands of Chinese students are required to report back to the MSS about research, professors, and fellow students. They don't have a choice. They're inside your favorite apps. TikTok, WeChat, even games your kids play. All potential windows for the MSS to peer through. That fitness tracker you're wearing? If it's made in China, the MSS might know your heart rate right now. But here's the scariest part. The MSS isn't trying to predict the future like Unit 8200. They're trying to shape it. They call it unrestricted warfare, fighting without fighting, winning without battles. They spread false information to divide countries. They steal technology to leap ahead decades. They collect data on millions of people, waiting for the day when knowing your secrets becomes useful. The Russian ghosts. And then there's Russia's GRU, the agency that makes everyone else look like amateurs when it comes to chaos. The GRU doesn't care about being invisible. They want you to know they were there, but not be able to prove it. They poisoned a former spy in Britain with a nerve agent, leaving a trail of evidence that pointed to Russia, but not enough to convict anyone. Message sent. We can reach you anywhere. They hacked the 2016 US elections, the 2017 French elections, the 2018 Winter Olympics. Each time leaving just enough fingerprints to say we did this, but not enough for consequences. But here's what keeps intelligence agencies up at night about the GRU. They're not trying to win. They're trying to make everyone else lose. They want chaos, distrust, countries turning against themselves. And they're succeeding. The arms race nobody sees right now. As you're watching this video, these agencies are fighting a war, not with bullets or bombs, but with code and information. Unit 8200 is trying to stay 10 steps ahead. The MSS is trying to steal everything that isn't nailed down. The GRU is trying to burn it all down. and caught in the middle? The rest of us, living our lives online, not realizing we're the battlefield. Every photo you post, every message you send, every website you visit, it's all ammunition in this invisible war. Your data isn't just valuable to advertisers. It's valuable to spies who might use it 10 years from now for purposes we can't even imagine. The AI spy revolution? Let me paint you a picture of what's coming, because the future of spying is already here. We just don't see it yet. Imagine an AI that can watch every security camera in a city simultaneously. Not just watch, understand. It knows who you are by the way you walk. It reads your mood by your posture. It predicts where you're going before you know yourself. This isn't science fiction. Unit 8200 is already testing systems like this. They call it pattern of life analysis. The AI learns what's normal for millions of people, then instantly spots anything unusual. A person taking a different route to work, someone buying unusual items, two people who shouldn't know each other having coffee. In 5 years, maybe less, these systems will be everywhere. Privacy won't just be dead, it will be archaeologically extinct. The quantum bomb. But here's what really keeps spy agencies awake at night: quantum computing. Right now, encryption protects everything: your bank account, government secrets, military communications. It works because even the fastest computers would need thousands of years to break modern encryption. Quantum computers will do it in seconds. The first country to build a true quantum computer won't just have an advantage. They'll be able to read every secret message on Earth, every encrypted file ever sent, every secure communication ever made. It would be like giving one country the ability to read minds. Unit 8200, the MSS, the NSA, they're all racing to get there first, because second place in this race doesn't get a silver medal. They get conquered. The human factor. But here's the twist nobody expects. In this age of AI and quantum computers, the most valuable spies might be human again. Why? Because humans are unhackable in ways computers aren't. You can't download thoughts. You can't remotely access memories. You can't code your way into someone's conscience. Unit 8200 has figured this out. While everyone else is going digital, they're also going old school. They're recruiting people who can blend in anywhere, speak multiple languages, think on their feet. They're training spies who can operate in a world where every device is compromised, where the only secure communication is a whisper in a noisy room. The future of spying might look a lot like the past, just with better toys. The choice we face. Here's the brutal truth. The age of privacy is over. It's not dying. It's dead. The question isn't whether we'll be watched, but by whom and for what purpose. Countries like Israel argue that agencies like Unit 8200 keep us safe from threats we never see coming. They stop wars, prevent terrorism, protect innocent lives. And they're not wrong. How many disasters have been prevented that we'll never know about? But critics point out the cost. A world where everyone is suspected, where mistakes can ruin lives, where power corrupts absolutely because absolute surveillance is absolute power. China's model offers security through control. Russia's model offers chaos as strategy. America tries to balance freedom with safety, usually failing at both. And small countries? They're just trying not to get stepped on. Conclusion. The Watchers and the Watched. Remember that 20-year-old soldier I mentioned at the beginning? The one staring at code on her screen? She's real. Right now, someone just like her is sitting in that windowless building, making decisions that will ripple through history. She might stop the next world war. She might prevent a terrorist attack. Or she might be reading your emails, looking for leverage that won't be used for years. This is the world we live in now. A world where teenagers with keyboards are more powerful than generals with armies. where wars are fought in server rooms and won with algorithms, where the most dangerous weapon isn't a nuclear bomb. It's information about you. Unit 8200 isn't uniquely evil or uniquely good. They're uniquely powerful, and that's what should concern us. Because when any organization can see everything, know everything, predict everything, who watches the watchers? The answer, uncomfortably, is no one. These agencies operate in darkness by design. Their successes are classified. Their failures are covered up. Their methods are beyond the law because they write their own laws in code. And here's the final chilling thought. Everything I've told you in this video, it's just what they've allowed us to know. The real capabilities of Unit 8200, the MSS, the GRU. They're probably decades ahead of what's public. So the next time you pick up your phone, send a message, or browse the internet, remember, you're not alone. You never were. And in this new world of digital ghosts and cyber weapons, the most dangerous spy agency isn't the one you've heard of. It's the one you haven't. The question isn't whether they're watching you. They are. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Because in the end, we all have two choices. Accept the world where privacy is a memory and freedom is an illusion. Or fight for something better, even if that fight is already being monitored, analyzed, and filed away in a server farm somewhere in the desert. The 20-year-old soldier is still staring at her screen. She sees everything. The real question is, what do you want her to see when she looks at you?